Let's imagine that you are looking at your favourite album online. Let's say something really obvious like To Pimp a Butterfly, okay? And you want to look at the discussion of this album. You want to see what other people have to say. You go on to, might be Reddit, might be TikTok, Twitter, anything like that. And based on your experience in these communities or having done this before, what type of comments do you think you'd see? Because personally for me, especially on Twitter and TikTok, I mostly see mid a butterfly. Objectively good, but I don't like it. Mid. 7 out of 10. You get me? Like, I think the quality of discourse online right now is basically dribble and really disingenuous. So I'm just making this video basically to talk about some of the worst habits around online music discourse. And I want to say as well that a lot of the stuff here can also be applied to films, games, fucking books as well. Right, so numerical ratings are really popular, and they are a good way of organising and rating the music that you listen to. They definitely have a level of utility, and I personally use them. I use Rate Your Music quite a lot when I listen to a new album, but for me personally, I feel like they've become the be-all and end-all a lot of the time of discussion online. There is no better example than Mr. Anthony Fantano of The Needle Drop, famous user of numerical ratings, and famously wrong a lot of the time. And of course he's not the first to use them, but he's definitely popularised them within this space. And to be fair to him, I'm not going to blame him for using them, because most of his scores come after, 10 minutes of him discussing like quite thoroughly why he would give it that score and how he actually feels about the music. But when you look at his wider community, or the discourse of him on Twitter or his comment section, you wouldn't think that the numerical ratings represent what he has said. You would think that that is what he said. You would think that the rating is his thoughts. And as a really good example of this, I remember when Joey Badass went to speak to Anthony Fantano for an interview.
So you gave my album a 7, and that shit made you cry, motherfucker?
That's your album's not even the only album.
I should get extra points just for making you fucking cry on a live.
And despite Anthony Fantano, having a whole review where he's like praising the album a lot of the time, Joey's really fixated on that score, which from an artist's perspective I understand, because that's what the mass see, but really that shouldn't be what we see. Like I said, it feels like numerical ratings don't really reflect your thoughts. They become your thoughts entirely. And I think that leads to some really bad discussion. And places like TikTok are really bad for this. And I know that maybe a lot of the people are younger, but there's still people making up the discussion. And I swear down, like, so much of the time, artists and songs and albums are reduced to just like a few buzzword kind of phrases, like, oh, mid, 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10, and they'll be debating the score. Like, not debating the actual music, they'll be debating whether it's a 6 or a 7, that's not a joke. And when you start talking about the score that someone's given it, or the average score of an album or a film, you cease to be talking about the actual piece of art there. You are talking about someone's opinion of it. And to be fair, you're not even talking about someone's opinion on it. You're talking about a rough indication, like a numerical indication of someone's opinion on it. And the thing is, people don't even fucking agree on what those indications actually represent. Like, no one can seem to actually map out the 0 to 10 rating scale and say, what everything equates to. Because I see people giving a fucking 6 out of 10 saying, oh, it's bad or it's mid. 6 out... Right, to me, I'm going to put up on screen what I think is the only way you can use the 0 to 10. And I think if you use it any other way, just fuck off. If you look at 6 out of 10, there are 6 scores underneath it, 0 to 5. There's 6 digits underneath it that would represent negative scores, and 6 as well. So there's technically 7 out from 0 to 10. So for the 7 scores, which are all negative, which means it leaves you a few potential positive scores: 7, 8, 9, or 10. 4. Like, that is so fucking cynical, like, and it's not accurate. So why are we wasting so much time using numerical systems if they don't map out to anything? When you go to the fucking doctors, yeah, and they say from 0 to 10 or 1 to 10, how much pain are you in? If you say a fucking 6, that means something. It's like, more than average, a bit more than average, but not fucking 10, where I'm like I'm dying inside. And now I'm in the trap, because I'm I'm talking about fucking numerical. I fucking hate them, honestly. I hate. Like I said, I completely understand their use, and I think it's fine, especially if you're a critic, to use them, or if you're on like Rate Your Music, Album of the Year, or Letterboxd. Just as a side note, actually, Album of the Year, you lot are fucking weird, because a 0 to 100 is just mental. How the fuck do you... Oh my god. How do you differentiate like 71 from like 73? You lot are wrong. I just think we need to collectively evaluate and talk about music in a much more fun and interesting way. Because who cares if Pitchfork or Anthony Fantano gave an album a 6 if you don't actually remember why they gave them that score? Like, I remember Anthony Fantano giving J. Paul a 6, and I remember him being wrong. Imagine reviewing a film, but you judge the merit of that film by how many scenes you liked on YouTube. That is kind of what playlist culture, when it comes to albums, kind of feels like to me. And you're probably saying to me, well, if every scene in a film is bad, then the film is bad. And I'd say, yeah. But if every scene is good, or if every scene is just decent, does that then make the film perfect? Or a 10 out of 10? Because I see people evaluate albums this way. Oh yeah, every track is great, it's 10 out of 10. What? Every track can be fine, and it can be a 4. Like, do you know what I mean? I'm fucking using numerical ratings again, man, honest. But the answer is no, because a film, a game, or an album are more than the sum of their parts. They're not just made up of their individual songs. I think that there is something bigger going on with an album. I think a good album will take a lot of different things into account. Is there an overarching narrative? Are there themes and motifs which become satisfying when they reappear? Is it a collection of similar sounding songs? Is there an overall kind of sound to the album? Or is there a lot of variation? Does the album have a specific goal in mind? Does it all come together to kind of talk about one theme or a selection of like interlinking themes? Do the tracks service each other in any way at all? Does one track lead into another with a transition really well? There's loads of stuff to me that kind of make up an album rather than just the individual songs by themselves. When you rip a song out of an album, it ceases to exist in the context of something bigger. It goes from a song as a part of something to just a song. Playlists are brilliant, and I'm not hating on playlists. You can create brilliant playlists for loads of different reasons. Like, you can make one for walking, make one for the gym, make one for fucking meditation, make one for your car, your late night drives. Like, they're brilliant. But for me, like, an album, a good album is created to give you a certain listening experience. You know, it might be an album for the club, or it might be an album for like late night drives. That might be the intention, genuinely. Or the album might be for like midlife crisis. And I don't want to be pretentious, but I do think that we don't give new music our full attention properly. And maybe I'm projecting and I'm just guilty for this, but I feel like we need to give it more attention, especially on a first listen. If you're trying to figure out how you feel, if you're trying to actually take in the album and give the artist who made it a fair shot, I think we need to give it full attention. If we don't fully immerse ourselves in what we're listening to, we're likely to only remember something that's catchy or something that just jumps out. We might miss more interesting and subtle moments. I kind of liken it to when I go see a film in the cinema. You know, I don't have my phone on, I'm not talking to anyone, I don't have any distractions. And I find that in that environment, I appreciate and think about and really immerse myself in films a lot more than I do if I'm just watching it on my sofa, like, you know, on my phone, scrolling or talking to someone else. Like, I feel like there is kind of a night and day difference when you truly give yourself to a piece of art rather than just kind of passively consuming it. Right, I'm going to do a thought experiment with you lot. Imagine, assuming all sincerity, I come up to you, okay, and I say, I'm going to play you an absolute banger. This song is sick, and I'm going to play it for you right now, okay? You're assuming complete sincerity. I'm not joking, okay? What would you think about me if I played this? We are Charlie Kirk. Or this. Or this. You would think I am mental. Like, you would think there's something wrong with me in the head. Like, if I genuinely knew, like, a fully grown man, and let's imagine, like, worst case scenario, like a 50-year-old man, right? No kids, no attachment to this whatsoever. And they genuinely said, mate, my favourite song of all time is the Peppa Pig theme tune. I would immediately just think, Peter. Oh, but isn't music subjective? It's just different taste. Mate, no one makes that argument for the humble Peppa Pig listener. You know, music is subjective, but because of society, culture, etc., the music you listen to, the art that you take in and the art that you connect with, it says things about you. It reflects on you, or at least reflects what other people see you as. And that is because music is a form of social currency. I'm baller, which is something that I don't see people acknowledge. In fact, I kind of get the vibe that people think the opposite. And by the way, this isn't a moral statement. I'm not saying this is good or this is bad. It's just facts. And I think we're in a unique situation because social media makes you create a kind of persona rather than being authentic. I think people nowadays feel like they need to kind of craft a clean, curated version of themselves that they want to present to other people. Like, for example, if you're like me, okay, and you share songs onto Instagram, like when you're on Spotify and you just share it to Instagram, you know, I'm fully aware, right, and this is cringe, but I'm fully aware of what songs I'm choosing to post, right, and what songs I'm not choosing to post. And it's the same kind of with anything you choose to post, anything you choose to specifically like share about, you know, you're doing it for a reason. And if you don't think you do this, you do. And you know, everyone does it to an extent. It's okay. Like, there is a reason you post a lovely field of flowers or you post a picture of the fucking eclipse onto Instagram rather than you know, taking a shit. Like, no one posts pictures of a piece of shit apart from your mum. And you know, a massive issue right now is that music is so accessible. It's weird that I'm saying that as an issue because it's brilliant, because I would have never ever heard some of the music that I have heard because of social media or because of Spotify or YouTube or any of these platforms that make it so easy. But unfortunately, because of the same way this stuff is shared, this same community also has a chokehold on the narrative around a lot of this music. Right, so quick switch up now. What we're going to do is we are going to listen to a song together. I know, isn't that so wholesome? Before we do, unfortunately for you lot, I've got to tell you this song is fucking shit. I just want you to hear it though. Like, it's dog shit. Like, genuinely, trust me, this song, I can't even explain it. I'm going to press play. Fuck off. So that is called Poisoning the Well, ladies and gentlemen. You were primed to listen to that song with a negative, cynical mindset. Good boy. This is the effect that narratives have on art. And these build up rapidly nowadays because a lot of the time, because of short form content, Instagram Reels, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, all that. It's because when you see like a 20-second video about, you know, Drake's Iceman, for example, and it's filled with all these funny little memes and all of these opinions kind of rapid fire, and you see it so much, you physically don't have enough time to actually kind of comprehend what's being said, like think about all of the arguments before it's kind of poisoning your mind with the narrative. And you know, with Drake's Iceman, it's fair enough because that is shit. And what I sometimes think of is, I don't know how genuine a lot of these opinions are that I see on these videos. I think that a lot of the time they're probably just exaggerated for views or for people to just want to be part of the in-group. And then sometimes it's deeper than taste. Because it seems online that art communities are less about talking about art and trying to establish some kind of social hierarchy. And I see this within online political communities as well. It's like, oh, you don't like that new Metro Boomin album, or you like that new Metro Boomin album? Wow, isn't that fucking cringe? Why do you like that album? It's terrible. I don't like it. And aren't I so cool for not liking it? I remember when Lil Yachty, bless him, posted on Twitter, or it's like from an interview or something. He talked about Dark Side of the Moon, and he was like, this is the greatest thing I've ever heard. It opened my eyes to what music can be. And people fucking cooked him for it. They were like, oh, it's such a 14-year-old moment. Yeah, I remember having this thought when I was 15. Yeah, well done, mate. You heard one of the most popular, acclaimed albums of all time. And I get that people might be joking, but I have this, this sneaky feeling that a lot of those people were being completely genuine. You know, if you think this was just a bunch of people joking or someone being a bit late to the party, I truly admire your optimism in the human race, because I did not see that at all. I personally think that this was just a few people who were trying to get a crumb of validation because they were in the club and he wasn't. You know, individually, this isn't bad. Like, if you are one of those people that made that joke, and you know, I do find it quite funny that he did have that moment because it is so stereotypical. And I'm not trying to be a fun police, but when that kind of response becomes the dominant culture, it does get toxic quite quickly. And if that was an isolated incident, you know, I would think completely fair enough. But this kind of elitism, in a way, is so prevalent in online communities about art, music, film. And it's really disappointing when I see it kind of be championed and joked about, which is why it always rubbed me the wrong way personally. You know, isn't it just cool that someone discovered a piece of music that resonated with them so much that they created their most ambitious work? No? Fair enough.
That's what I'm saying. Stroke that thing.
Contrarianism is another way of turning music into social currency. Oh, you think that beloved album is a masterpiece, you fucking normie. And we see this all the time because of the nature of the internet. These voices are also amplified because when other people see it, they think, oh yeah, this is kind of a new, cool, edgy opinion. I'm going to jump on this. I want to be ahead of the curve. You don't have to be ahead of the curve. I just think having a laugh is fine. But I guess I'm a little bit of a music is magic, hippy dippy kind of guy. You know, art to me, it is cool and it's serious, and I like taking it seriously to an extent. You know, being a contrarian is fun. Like, let's all be honest, it is very fun sometimes. Like when everyone's enjoying something and you just happen to not like it. Oh, fucking hell. But realistically, we shouldn't be culturally signaling that it's cool, and you know, it's something that we should strive for or attempt to do just for the sake of it, because when you know someone's just being a contrarian, it is just fucking tedious. And realistically, all it boils down to is I don't like something you do, or I like something that you don't, and it isn't actually that cool. It only just feels a bit cool in the moment. Start smoking. Like, at the end of the day, I think people just need to be curious, and I think people need to be genuine, but also critical. A lot of the time for me, music just boils down to sometimes I like how it sounds. That's why I like Glorb. That Atlantis beat is mental. And none of this is new. And what are the consequences of this? Me being annoyed a bit. Realistically, like, that is the main consequence of all of this that I've talked about. But I would be interested if anyone else has noticed this within the music community. You know, like, I want to know if Letterboxd people get frustrated at the star system. I want to know if book people think that fucking Moby Dick is mid. And, you know, I want to know if gaming people, will you ever go outside? Okay, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments with what I've said, whether you agree, disagree, or anything like that, okay? Thank you and take care.